brief talk and a Q&A. So basically, if you will have questions about the performance that you are going to see, you are feel free to ask as well. And this is going to be a collaborative performance by Edy Fung and Muiredach O'Riain, and it's showcasing their collaboration that has roots in Edy's artist in residence at Studio Factory. So please enjoy the performance, and then we'll have a short Q&A about the performance.
Hey, so yeah, I'm Muiredach O'Riain. I'm a composer with a background in music and computing and AI. And this is Edy Fung, an artist, disciplinary. Either way, we did something more deep. When they play a piece we made that uses a quantum random number generator. So we kind of designed it generates these numbers in real time. So that's going to control a few things in the piece. We have some radios, we have some synths that are doing like timbre, timing, pitch. And so throughout the piece you'll kind of hear these changes come in and out, like the levels. And yeah, we don't really have any control. So yeah, let's thank you all. And we're gonna start.
surface pre-uni A-level studies. Now I see that you're something that can be merged with information technology and are bound to change the world in numerous ways. So in 2024, I find myself back in touch with you. But the more I try to understand you, the less I'm able to talk about you. Over the last 100 years, the similar and same aspects of you have been given way to many different names and formulations in different contexts for different hypotheses. Planck, Bohr, Heisenberg, Einstein, Bose, Dirac, Feynman, Wheeler, particles, waves, fields, quanta, gravity. Since the two slit experiments, instead of a coherent explanation of what you are, apparently I'm obliged to think and pick between the Copenhagen interpretation or many worlds interpretation. Whichever explanation I choose, as it is a choice to be made, I immediately exist in infinite possibilities to talk about you. The probability amplitude. So the following narrative that I have chosen to talk about, this choice to talk about you in this quantum sound talk today at CTM Festival, in order to portray you, explore you. Would it be a PowerPoint presentation with a bit of sonification demo? Would it be an audiovisual experience? Would it be a performance essay with some soundscape? Amongst all these possible means, all these possible narratives exist simultaneously with each other in this or other interwoven, continuous space-time, linear or not linear, visible or not visible to us. I mean, isn't indeterminacy part of your nature? Are you so uncanny that determining a narrative about you then becomes inaccurate of you again? Like billions of photons firing onto the back of my brain at the same time, a rush of information in light waves, diffracting in the Hilbert space of the mind, rippling against each other. At the end of the day, being looked, observed, detected, measured, determined. There is a wave function to collapse or not, depending on what you believe. Quantum superposition, no such whether if that Schrodinger's cat is in a definite state of being alive or dead. Ontological indeterminacy, as American physicist and philosopher Karen Barat describes, how strange that indeterminacy in its infinite openness is the condition for all possibilities of all structures in their dynamically reconfiguring instabilities. In addition to the state of existence or non-existence, particle or wave, matter or non-matter, indeterminacy does not exclude space-time mattering. Neither space nor time exists as a determinate given outside of phenomena. Further than what Barat has portrayed, apeiron, proposed by ancient Greek philosopher Anaximander, refers to this boundless and indeterminate substance from which all things originate in the universe. Speaking of indeterminacy, if John Cage is still alive, what would he do with you, quantum? The composition performance piece that, for the very first time he let chance operate, titled Imaginary Landscape number 4, bracket march number 2, used multiple radios as the primary musical instruments. Same way as the visible light, radio waves are in the electromagnetic field, except that they have a longer wavelength than light. White noise in the radio, air in the atmosphere live, with occasional signaling of distant lightning strikes, local radio stations interfering with Wi-Fi and mobile signals, a hybrid of local stories and non-local phenomena, a symphony of the man-made and natural at the same time. Instead of us human beings manually tuning the channels, we imagine John Cage would let you also play a role here, quantum. Here and now. Vacuum fluctuation is directly selecting the radio frequency range in real time. thanks to the quantum optic group at Australian National University. Levels of white noise switch between AM waves, FM waves, short waves according to quantum noise, live from the labs in Canberra, Australia. The research group developed a so-called quantum random number generator by obtaining the number sequence using quantum continuous variable system. By shining a laser through a void and calculating the change in its phase due to interactions with virtual particles, able to capture, convert, distribute these measurements as a string of random values in real time. Transients, virtual photons, electrons and positrons, indeterminacy of your void from subatomic levels, deciding which radio stories are to be heard here at Radialsystem at this point in time. Radio signals and light signals, analog and in dialogue, exchanging information. We are also translating oscillating frequencies to 135, 99, 197, 125, 73, number of hertz, waveforms, duty cycles, rate of change, rhythms, radio to audio frequencies, acoustic waves and EM waves. We animate you by sonifying you into pitches and musical tones. Nevertheless, we don't know and we can't tell what signals or noise, frequency or notes you would choose. Your random fluctuation, a continuous variable with momentum, velocity and position, intermittently manifests and vanishes, a constant state of flux. You have true randomness, they say, like Heraclitus' river, no repetition, no replicable steps, also totally unpredictable. You are not deterministic. There is no pattern that you follow or leave behind. No use in forecasting the future. No use in studying the past in order to understand you. Non-linear time. The past was never simply there to begin with, and the future is not simply what will unfold. Causality becomes very complex with you. So different from John Cage's expectation when he crafted the I Ching definition system, there is no connotation of the future in you. What is your version of music of change? You don't follow Gaussian distribution the way coins of I Ching are tossed. Nor when Mozart rolled the two dice in his musical dice game. Nor do you use Poisson distribution like Xenakis did for composing choruses. Nor do you follow Schoenberg's 12-tone serialism and equal probability of occurring to orderly create non-repetitive atonal results. You are even more unlikely for our brain to follow or guess what musical note or sound will come next. What is your truth? Are you closer to frequencies of Bayesian? What is your necessity? We once thought all things beneath our senses were ruled by some constant, universal law, a theory of everything. Even prior to classical physics, Pythagoras believed that the universe was governed by ratios. Ratios 2 to 1, 3 to 2, 4 to 3, octaves, perfect fifths, perfect fourths, these harmonic series. Two notes of just intonation are hit, causing an interference, chancing a superposition of sound wave, a probability of combination tone. Wave function encode information about the particle's probability distribution in space, quantized angular momentum, discrete energy levels. You ladder up according to intervals from the ground state. Harmonic oscillations seem to function the same manner with you. Your randomness triggers and leaks out of our original intuition on proportion or ratio, our desire for abstractions and deductions, by mathematical models. In your dissonance, we search for your consonance as well. It could be a fearful thing to comprehend you. W.H. Auden once said, "Our ears tend to be lazy, craves the familiar, and is shocked by the unexpected." The idea that one shouldn't hear a pattern can really change the whole concept of music when we rely on motives, repetitions, and loops to enjoy, opposite to everything that Pythagoreans would teach us. Stars and constellations, revolving circles. Their movement is an eternal return, as Nietzsche has framed it. Reality is about loops, however long it takes for the cycle to come back. Your randomness is too large for our lifetime to experience, perhaps to ever find out if a period cycle runs its course. How do you think humanity would do with you? We will try to understand you still, coming from our limitations, from our anthropocentric perspectives. We will try to recognize you by searching for patterns again, regardless it comes from our apophenia, like what we have turned AI to be. We make AI all about pattern recognition based on how we human beings acquire knowledge. Once we achieve letting AI become a clone of ourselves, we settled for taking this connectivist, deep learning, neural network, our entire reality of what AI can be. A machine that feeds off its linear paths, recycled and upcycled from our human history. The great homogenization became the topic of last year, taking place now with the AI revolution. Nostalgia, past trauma, all in one ontological swirl, where the identity of AI emerges. Undergoing Simondon's concept of the individuation process, turning the collective mass into one assuming entity, a non-human Big Brother. We will also have a tendency to record this, like our urge to record anything these days, but more so after knowing theoretically the possibility that this performance piece will only exist once because of your true randomness, uniquely in this moment in time. By default, we live in the memory and lose the present. So dear Quantum, what can you bring as an alternative? Can we cast any hope on you to bring any true difference to the current dystopic direction in technology? I will conclude this letter by borrowing British cultural theorist Edy Fung's words in 1997, quote, "If Turing's universal machine was built as an effort to disprove the universality of logic, quantum computing was first proposed to challenge Turing's ostensibly universal machine, with exactly the same ambivalence that marks the Turing machine, the fact that quantum computers are now being built both proves and disproves their mechanics point. If computing continues in becoming quantum, it also passes through an unknown and indeterminable phase change of its own." End quote. May more of us engage and participate in the contemplation of you. Perhaps there is still much to learn from you. Be open to you. Yours sincerely, Edy.
disruptions and the frequencies in terms of aesthetic and technical as well, how they were sort of interwoven through the piece itself.
Talk about aesthetic wise, I think it came from that concept about maybe trying to portray the many worlds interpretation, where there's all these kind of realities, and we have we have 4 radios here going on, all at different kind of wavelengths, but we have set the quantum random to choose which realities that these radio frequencies are conveying using quantum random numbers. So that's the kind of concept for the aesthetic part.
Muiredach, can you talk about also the
This one? Yeah, nice.
your contribution?
Yeah, I guess like Edy said, it's like these will kind of exist in the world at any one time, and they're overlapping. Interacting in the way we kind of mix it between things like visiting like any one version of these radio waves that are happening right now. It's just.
And there was also a visualization, let's say, of your process. So can you maybe talk, like, to make it more, it was making it transparent as well at some certain points, what was happening in terms of the patches and stuff?
Patches are also completely quantum random. We set a dot of light, like a laser light source, and anything that came out from it is the quantum adjusting the parameters of the zooming and kind of reflection values. So this is actually live and real time also for the visual.
And that probably leaves also space for chance and randomness as well, that you let the technology sort of generatively sort of express itself as well throughout the process probably.
Yeah, so that's the patch for what was going on for the visual. And I think Max MSP is really cool because it is quite accessible to everyone, and we were able to find, there are a couple of websites that provides quantum random numbers for free. One is from Australian National University, and the other one is cqre.net, and we also have intended a link for everyone to download this if they want to try the actual Max patch and objects that Muiredach built. Do you have?
Yeah, it's on Telegram, but I forgot the name before this. But if you come talk to me, I'll put the link somewhere that everyone can see it, and you can download this patch yourself. And if you're familiar with Max, you can use the random numbers they're generated in real time, so you can just kind of take the patch. As long as you have internet, you can assign these numbers, and they're truly random. It's not like I think that's what's kind of special about this piece. Is like you can't recreate it even if you try. It's the thing that actually like runs the patch is based off like the fluctuation of I think it's virtual particles in a void. I don't know. It's crazy quantum stuff. So it's a really fun
proximity, and also we are field of quantum, and I guess that kind of give a intimacy, and also like well, excuse for me to be informal or formal at the same time, and also mainly not sure how to address it and not know how to go about it. It feels kind of contradictory once I talk about it. It feels kind of, I don't know if I'm right about anything that I learned about quantum. It feels very confusing and very complex as soon as you sort of dive into it. And I hope to be able to use art to ask questions for where technology is going, and I really appreciate this opportunity with Judo Quantum to have this really close access to quantum scientists, and to actually feel to have gained some insights quite quickly, and to feel really empowered that I could actually maybe, especially it's still in a phase where a lot of things has not really consolidated, and maybe there is still a possibility to for more people like artists and non-scientists to really participate also in the conversation, especially especially how it's gonna change the world very soon, and it will be nice to have a say on where scientists could also focus on, maybe not only in one area over another.
Do you think it's going to be used more by musicians in practice in the future, or is it something that's accessible for electronic music artists or artists working with technologies in creative ways?
I think there's been a lot of musicians, and random function is a very common tool in Ableton, in Max MSD. It's something that a lot of musicians has already been sort of exploring, and I think it would continue that kind of direction, and maybe with a lot more entropy or surprising elements with quantum, maybe to sort of control the back, which would be quite nice.
It sounds very like it's innovating to get into, and yeah, it doesn't feel like a kind of natural partner to use it for the arts, which I think is why today it's super nice to see the creative ways that everyone's using this technology. Yeah, it can be. I think at the moment it is kind of hard to start working with it. I think that's kind of what we're doing with giving away the patch, or trying to make it a bit more easy to understand, or working with it in a way that's more kind of tangible, or it helps me to make sense of it anyway. Working with sound and kind of playing with it myself. It's I think it's gonna become a little more accessible hopefully, and hopefully we'll help me get there.
Thank you. Maybe we can open it to questions, if you have any questions about the performance of the artist's work. Anybody has any questions in the audience? Yeah?
Hi, I was just wondering, how would the piece have sounded differently if you had used your standard random number generator as opposed to quantum one?
we don't know. I guess that's the beauty of it. Like every time you play this piece, it is different. The thing with like a regular random number generator is they're not truly random. You know, you can use like a seed or some kind of like data to create number. So maybe would it sounded different? Maybe the fact that we're working with this technology influenced us to make it different. But I think there's like a lot of things that probably would have been the same. But it's kind of fun to see how far we can get scaling numbers and just making them do whatever we want. I don't know. It's like it depends on how you use it. So I think the beautiful thing here is like, yeah, we don't know. It would never really sound the same.
Thank you for the performance. So I think during the piece, I saw you also moving these radios manually. So what was the idea of that? Was it to get more physically engaged also in some kind of feedback that you can give? Because so it was not a completely, in a sense, passive piece where maybe you let the quantum number and a quantum random number generators do it. So it was more having like a live interaction also and changing some feedback.
I mean, I think it was kind of like what we were talking about earlier, was like the idea of interacting with these things, these energies, these waves that are all around us, and it's kind of like through noise, like through working with the radios, you can kind of like tap into each one of these and like listen to it and explore that. So that's what we were kind of doing with the radios. As you move them around, they like interact with like the different radio waves in the room, and you can kind of hear that. And you can like, yeah, it's kind of nice up there. You can feel it.
I really enjoyed how in the spoken piece, AI was put next to quantum as kind of a counterpoint to putting randomness next to the homogenization. And I was curious if in maybe future work, if there was a way to bring the two together, or if you saw any opportunities there.
Yeah, Muiredach has already worked with machine learning. His interest was on a tuning system, and he fed. It's funny now I'm actually talking about references, but yeah, he was letting AI to learn Bach and the Monte-Young on the micro-tuning and tuning system. So I really like that part of that part of the approach where you kind of take maybe what previous human history of civilization things is pleasant to the ear through ratios or different ways or switching from equal temperament that we sort of take it for granted and then let AI to understand it. So there's something kind of beautiful and contradictory within itself, and I think there's always ways that you can go along with the tool, but you can also maybe go against the tool in a way, either conceptually or technically. And I suppose that's kind of how we start to appreciate like glitch arts and things that kind of go wrong that shouldn't have. And yeah, I think that's a nice question that you ask, because it gives me hope and kind of these counter forces on anything that could emerge. And I think that also answers that we don't know what quantum technology is changing in the art world yet, because it's not a lot of people doing. So there's a pool of people, but not in a way that has flourished as a movement yet. But maybe when a movement is, when it happens, maybe we can see something else that could emerge as a counter force or as a force aligning with it. And yeah, we shall see, I think.
act in the way that we kind of expect the world to act, you know? There's it's not one seamless thing, it's kind of like this idea of like a superposition being like, we don't know, we can't really define what's happening. And I think that was what was interesting coming from AI, was this kind of like, yeah, we're not too sure what it is, and we're kind of like able to work with this idea of like, maybe it's not what we think it is, maybe it's like in between or something else, but it's not like going towards something